Hello, 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 Mosaic Souls. Hey, Mosaic Souls, this is Rachael Alexander, artist and Mosaic Soul mentor, aka spiritual teacher and student with flair. So today I wanted to talk about how to manage fear in your life and in your business. So I'm super pumped. I have made my progress and trip back to Atlanta, and now I just want to share some tips on how do you manage fear when you in your life and or in your business or in your career. You know, this is definitely important when we're going through a transition or a change is coming and fears naturally arise. This is a natural part of being human. Anytime there's something new being introduced, anytime there's an opportunity or there's something that's changing that we didn't expect, fears will naturally arise. So I want to talk about like some of the main core pillars or things that I do to manage my fears. And I've been doing them for a very long time. But it's all about really getting your psychology in alignment with your divinity. That just flowed all the way through. I love doing these lives, I'm telling you guys. When I get on live for some reason, it's like the channel just comes through. Anyways, moving on. But how do you manage your fears in your life and in your business? So the key, like I said, is getting your psychology in alignment with your divinity. And so what do I mean by that? I'm all about alignment. And alignment for me, it means to be in alignment with who and what you already truly are. And so you've heard me talk about this many times on this channel that you are a divine being, right? You are a soul having a human experience. You are a spirit in a human body, whatever word or way of your source manifested in human form, whatever word or phrase or catchphrase or whatever resonates with you, that's what you are, right? And so alignment for me is being in alignment with that which you truly are. So we've decided as souls to incarnate into these human fleshly bodies. And for many of us, we've decided to forget who we truly are so we could enjoy the game of re-remembering who we truly are, which is source manifested in human form, souls having a human experience, right? And so when I talk about managing your fears or handling your fears such that they don't take over your life, such that you don't make decisions from a place of fear, from a place of scarcity, from a place of lack, is understanding that you align your psychology with your divinity. And when I mean by that is that your soul, your perspective source, all that you are, the power that is beating your heart without you having to do anything, the power that is making sure the blood runs through your veins without you having to do anything, the intelligence that is operating your body without you mentally having to make sure this stuff goes on, the planet, you know, the intelligence that is making sure that the sun sits in the sky and beams down on us unapologetically and unselfishly, right? The intelligence that makes sure that we have enough oxygen so that we can breathe and we don't all, you know, die of suffocation, right? Like that intelligence is who you are. You are a fractal of that same intelligence. So when you look at your life through the lens of source, through the eyes of source or your soul has a different perspective of your life than what you have. So when fear arises to me, when I think about when fear arises, it usually indicates to me that my perspective, my psychology, my thought processes are out of alignment with the thought processes and the viewpoint of my soul, of source, of all that is, whatever you want to call it, right? And so managing fear in your life is all about understanding that you can shift to the perspective of your soul. You can ask your soul for higher guidance, for a higher perspective. What is your perspective on this? Because right now I'm feeling fear and I'm feeling hesitation, or I'm feeling scared, or I'm feeling lack. And I don't want to feel that way. I want to have a higher or more expanded point of view such that I can move from a place of love rather than from a place of fear. I can move from a place of integrity that is in alignment with who I truly am versus moving from a place of unease and moving from a place of the contracted version of you that might then perpetuate even more lack, fear, and scarcity, right? And so that's what I mean about getting your psychology in alignment with your divinity. So There are so many different ways that you can do that. I will refer you back to the video where I talk about powerful ways to reprogram your subconscious mind. But it's really about having or cultivating practices that then become habits. Because I do believe, I'm a firm believer that we are the consistent, like we are the total sum of our habits. We as human beings, we are habitual creatures, you know, and if we don't cultivate positive habits in our lives, then we're going to cultivate habits that don't serve us, right? So it's about creating an ecosystem, a mental ecosystem, a psychological ecosystem that supports your mental, emotional, and physical well-being, right? So when you're experiencing fear and when you're experiencing hesitation or contraction and moving into a new direction in your life, or you're experiencing something that is making you feel like you're less than or that you're not enough, whatever the fear way it manifests, anger or frustration, whatever, remember, your perspective is out of alignment with the perspective of your divinity, the perspective of your soul, the perspective of source. So, 3 things that I really do for the most part is I really get quiet and I get still and I feel the fear, because I know that if I'm feeling fear, or if I'm listening to my monkey mind, my mind is telling me all these horrible things that are going to happen, I immediately know, because I've conditioned myself to have awareness, because I sit in silence, I go in nature, I have cultivated this sort of inner world or inner awareness of my inner world, of my inner thoughts, my inner emotions, and that whole thing, that I become immediately aware that my monkey mind is going on, some old projections, some old stories are happening. And so by getting quiet and getting still, I'm then letting that play out, and I'm hearing the thoughts, I'm hearing the old conditioning, I'm hearing the fear. Or sometimes it's not even mental, sometimes it's like a physical thing where it's like old conditions that are trapped in different parts of my body. And so maybe I'll feel it in my chest, or I'll feel it in my gut, or I'll feel it in my hand or something. And I'll just feel it and I'll be with the fear. And then once I am with the fear, I let it be there, you know, and I'm experiencing it. And usually I like go outside some way, or like just experience it. Or sometimes it depends on like how, if I'm really like not really wanting to feel it, I'll like do some exercises, or I'll do some incantations, or I'll do, you know, some meditation, or I'll do some reprogramming of my mind, maybe writing out, you know, I do a lot of different psychological tips and tricks to kind of get myself to where I want, which is the higher vibration, or a less denser vibration, more so, that is more in alignment with my divinity. And so in that, you know, the first tip that I do is get quiet, getting still. The second tip is I feel the fear. Feel the fear. Let it be there. It's already there, right? Let it have its voice, you know, like, you know, if you need to journal it out, let the fear say everything that it was, right? And then the third thing that I do is I just kind of basically, and this kind of all happens like instantly for me. It's not necessarily something that I sit down and do all the time. It's just because I've cultivated these practices so much that it's like now sort of like an instant process. It's not like a 30-minute process. And if you continue to do these things, you'll be able to instantly kind of name your fear and be like, oh, this is what's going on inside of me. And this is not really who I truly am. So it'll just happen automatically versus like this long drawn out thing that you have to do, right? But the long drawn out thing is something that normally, if you're not used to living this way, if you're not used to thinking this way, if your psychology is not in alignment with your divinity, then cultivating this habit is something that you'll want to do first initially for at least 30 to 40 days, such that it becomes a natural part of you. 30 to 90 days, right, to where this new way of being and thinking is a part of who you are being from moment to moment to moment. You see what I'm saying? And so what was the first one? Get quiet, get still, feel the fear, and then feel the fear, let it give it its name or whatever. And then ask, get quiet and get still as you're still feeling the fear. What would be a different thought? What would be a more expanded version or viewpoint or perspective of this situation that I'm dealing with right now, right? Instead of moving from fear, if it's around money, or if it's around like a new relationship, or if it's around a new career, or if it's around a new business venture, or if it's around dealing with your family or whatever it is, asking what would be a different perspective of this, you know what I mean? What would be a more expanded perspective of this situation that right now my mind is not coming up with because my old conditioning has its own momentum going on. And you get quiet and you get still, and then answers will start to come to you. You know what I mean? Answers will start to come to you. You write those down if you need to, or you just make mental note. And if I was, and this is a really great question, if I wasn't feeling fear right now, if I wasn't in fear, what would I do? And this is sort of like the fourth thing, right? Like if I wasn't in fear, right? So the first thing is kind of asking, well, the third thing is more so asking, what would be a different perspective? What would be my soul's perspective? What would be Source's perspective of this life event, of this situation that I'm dealing with right now? And then once you start getting that psychological like hits, or those mental hits, or those visual hits, sometimes it comes through your different clairs, right? Your clear audience, or maybe you'll hear it, you know, for your clear sentience, or your clear, there's clear audience, clear sentience is you'll feel it, or maybe you'll see it clear, oh my goodness, I can't remember all the clairs, but you'll start to see it, right? And have maybe visions that are of a different vibration than where the vibration that you were at. You see what I'm saying? And then once you get that third piece, then the fourth thing is, if I wasn't feeling fear in this moment, right, what would I do? If I wasn't feeling fear, how would I be feeling right now? What would I be thinking right now? If I wasn't feeling fear, how would I move in the world in regards to this situation, in regards to this thing that I'm dealing with? Hello, feel free to say hi. I'm on here live. I hope you guys are having an awesome weekend. So, yeah, so you ask yourself, you know, if I wasn't in fear, if I didn't feel fear in this moment, what would I do? What would I be thinking? How would I be acting? How would I move into the world? You see what I'm saying? And so those are literally like the four things that I do, that are like simple, quick things. There are many different ways to like manage your fear, but those are like my four quick process, because it's become such like automatic for me that I don't stay, hey Tim, what's up? How are you doing? Hope you are having a wonderful weekend. So those are like my four quick tips, because it's sort of like my go-to. It's become such a habitual process for me that if I'm feeling fear, which happens every now and then, we're all human. I am not perfect. Anytime I'm getting on here and I'm sharing tips, is because I've dealt with this. I've mastered it to some degree, and I want to share it with you, right? So we all go through this, right? Like if you're human, you're always going to feel fear in some way, form, and fashion. It doesn't mean that you feel it all the time. That's why I talk about, you know, just elevating your consciousness, or connecting to who you truly are, such that your predominant state of consciousness, or your predominant state of being in the world, is from a place of love, is from a place of expanded awareness, is from a place of knowing who you truly are, of you being in alignment with your true self, your soul, your divinity, right? So such that that's where you exist. But still, every now and then, which is why we're here for the game, we're here for the growth, right? We're here for the play of it all. You're still going to feel fear. And these are just my quick tips for how to manage fear in your life or in your business, right? And so I'll just do a recap for those of you who just joined, and then, you know, for those of you who will watch this replay or whatever. So the first thing is that you get quiet and you get still. If you're feeling the fear, it's there. It's already there. You can't really push it away, because that means that it's there, and it's here for its various different messages. The second thing is that you give voice to the fear, right? If the fear is there, sometimes it'll show up in physiologically, like emotionally, right? Like clearly it's a fear. Like fear is an emotional thing, but it'll show up like physically in your body. So you give voice to the fear. You observe the fear. What is the fear telling you, right? Is it telling you, don't do that because something bad will happen, or don't go down that road because if you do that, then you'll lose your job, or if you do that, you know, you'll lose your friendship, or something. Usually the fear is saying about something that's bad will happen in the future, and it's trying to protect you. So you give voice to that. Let it say what it needs to say. Don't try to shove it down, because when you don't give voice to it, it keeps popping back up because it wants your attention, right? So give voice to it, right? And then the fourth thing is, hold on. Yeah, get quiet, get still. The second thing was give voice to the fear. Sorry. And the third thing is ask for different perspectives, like what from your higher self, from source, from God, whatever word resonates with you. What would be a different perspective of this life situation, of my whatever I'm dealing with right now that I have fear around? What would be a higher perspective, right? Because like I said, to manage your fear from the beginning is all about getting your psychology to align with your divinity. So what would my divinity, my divine true self, be thinking about this situation? What would be a more loving perspective of this situation than from this contracted little version of me that feels like I'm not enough or that something wrong is going to happen? What would be a more expanded awareness, a version of me that sees that everything is always good, my wellness is always, my well-being is always assured, everything is always Gucci, right? And then that's the third thing. And then the fourth thing is, once you've started to get like, you know, clairvoyant or clairsentient or claircognizant or different, like, you know, feedback from your soul, messages from your soul, from your higher self, then the fourth thing is, what would I do if I wasn't feeling fear right now? Like, as my expanded version of myself, what would I be doing if I didn't fear, if I wasn't feeling fear, if I didn't believe the thoughts that are being perpetually, or the mental movies that I'm playing over and over in my head? What would I do instead, right? How would I be thinking? You know, what would I be thinking about, right? How would I be feeling? How would I act in the world? How would I be behaving? What would I do? Like, what direction would I be moving in? You know, and then you just really get into that, and you really feel that from like an internal level. You know, if something is coming up and you're feeling fear around it, and you've done all the different processes that I just talked about, and then you like feel into that, what would it feel like? Just do it right now. What would it feel like to be like fearless in this moment? How would I be feeling? You know, what would I be thinking? What would I be doing? You know? And then from there, you have already started to shift yourself out of fear. You see what I'm saying? And those are the simple ways that techniques, I guess, that I do to manage my fears as they arise in my life from time to time. So I hope these tips have been helpful. Feel free to let me know if they have been helpful. And yeah, I think that's all that I wanted to share. I was super pumped. I wanted to get on here and let you share some, you know, drop some soul nuggets here for you guys. But yeah, so I hope you guys have an awesome day, and remember to always flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you came to experience, explore, and expand into. So vibrate higher, and I will talk to you guys later. Peace, love, and light.